What's going on, everyone? Adam Gelman here. I have the SuperShow panel back. WTC as a crew is here to talk about probably one of the biggest events of the year. And I know we've been on before. We've already had kind of a run through of how we are approaching the national convention. We wanted to get everybody back together again because I think there's been some news coming through that we all should sort of talk about. There's some amazing things happening coming up very quickly here. I've got the normal guys that we would have on a SuperShow to bring this panel together and really sell the importance of this is really the goal here, but also give us an opportunity to share some of the news that has come down the pike over the last few weeks. And I think since the last time we've been on, this thing has gotten so much bigger, so much better. And I wanted to give everybody a chance to sort of introduce themselves again. This is the channel, so everybody knows probably everybody, but let's send it around. Paul, if you want to start, and then we'll go quickly into our rest of our crew, and then we'll get on with the show here.
Hi, everyone. Paul from Wrestling Card Price Guide.
Awesome. Tony?
Who am I? Oh, yeah. I'm Tony from WrestlingTradingCards.com.
Awesome. Ryan?
Ryan Shear, Non-Sport Showcase on Instagram.
Awesome. And I'm Adam Gelman. I am at SC Uncensored on Twitter and at WWE Gelman on Instagram. So let's jump right into it. Paul, you have sort of had an opportunity now to get some good stuff going for the national convention. I want to start with your news first and give you an opportunity to kind of explain what that's all about. And then we'll sort of get into some of the developments that have happened around the main event. So, Paul, if you want to kick it off here, then we can sort of give our thoughts here, and then we'll get into some of the other things we want to cover on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Adam. Well, I'm pleased to announce, and this isn't a surprise because we've been sort of hinting around it's going to happen, but we're going to be doing wrestling trading cards on the main stage at the National, and this is year 2. We just weren't able to give a time, but now we have that down. So everybody take note. We're going to be on the main stage at 5 o'clock from 5 to 6 on Thursday, July 27th. So the week of the National on the Thursday, and that's the day before our big main event thing. So the Thursday before 5 to 6, and where it is, it's a big open room, but they have it sectioned off into halls. We're actually in Hall D, but we're in the Case Break Pavilion section, and that's where what they call the Mike Burkus main stage, which is named after the founder. That's where most of the breaks go on. So Friday and Saturday, throughout most of the day, the bigger breaks that are anticipated go on that main stage, and they get quite a bit of coverage. Media and stuff come in and check that out. So that's where we're going to be on that Thursday night. Like last year, it's going to be a panel of 6 of us. Tony and I we'll be making our return. We'll be happy to host it. And we have 4 wonderful new guests. One is Adam Gelman, yourself, and Mr. Ryan Shear, who've done a wonderful job bringing a lot of new content over the last year and a lot of knowledge, especially with new and modern stuff. And we also have 2 other very distinguished guests, the one and only Drake Magruder. A lot of people refer to him as our heavy hitter in the hobby.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and the one and only sports card nobody, Shane Norton. So
awesome.
Last year we had Chuck and Caleb and the 2 guys from Card Foundation. So we're going to be substituting with you guys this year. We're going to be talking about what's been going on recently. We're going to be talking about indie. We're going to be talking about a little bit about what's happened in the past. We covered a lot of that last year. So the focus is going to be more on what's happening now around Panini and with the new releases. And Ryan's going to be talking about EPAC. But it's going to be a general sort of Q&A kind of thing with us, and then there's going to be like a 20-minute to 15-minute section at the end where people in the audience can ask us questions directly. We're still working on the content and still writing it, but at least now we know the time, and you guys know who was going to be on the panel. So once again, that's Thursday, July 27th from 5 to 6 on the main stage.
Yeah, and thank you, Paul, for inviting us to participate. This is going to be so much fun. Like, I think this is going to be one of the biggest weeks for wrestling cards in the history of kind of what we've been doing on social media and all of the things I know you and Tony have been working for so many years. And I think it's great to be on the main stage because it's inside the show. It is in front of a huge sort of area of collectors and breakers and everybody. So really awesome to be a part of this. I think that you brought up a really good point, which is like we're trying to get something in there for everybody. Talk a little bit about kind of like what your experience was last year during the panel and sort of how you're transitioning that into this year.
Well, last year we were very lucky because the guys that we had around us covered quite a wide spectrum of the hobby. You had Chuck, who's like an old school guy like myself that could talk intelligently about anything from day one to present day. Then we had a guy like Caleb Edkins that is on the forefront of the Brotherhood and what those guys are doing in Indy. And then we had the Card Foundation guys, and those guys are well versed on new releases and
Yeah.
they were talking about their sort of prognosis for what's been going on. And the way we did it last year, and again, last year was a bit of a scramble because we didn't get our time for the main stage until the week of. So we weren't even
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So we're actually good that we have this extra week this time around. But Tony and I sort of banged it out in the hotel room. How do you want to do it? And we finally just sort of got our pen out and said, okay, here's the way, here's what Chuck knows, here's what Caleb knows. And we sent it back to them. Okay, guys, you got 8 minutes. Talk about this. And we let each guy do their thing. And then Ryan was in the audience and Shane was in the audience and Main Event Collectibles was in the audience. Quite a few guys started sort of asking questions. Card Foundation got a lot of response to what they were talking about because a lot of people obviously interested in the newer stuff. That's why I'm glad that you guys are going to be there this year because, nothing's going to get past us on not only what's happened to date, but what's going to happen, for the rest of the year and going forward. And we're going to be right there under the same roof as all the major players, the Fanatics and the Goldens and the Leafs and these guys that we're going to be talking about, notwithstanding Panini being a part of our thing and being on the floor. So, Ryan, you were there last year sort of on the other side of it, and you seem to sort of dig the way it all came together. We had a blast doing it, and I think it's going to be even better this year.
Tony, you and thanks, Paul. Tony, you have said a number of times, like when you started doing this was something like from an objective perspective, like you wanted to make wrestling cards much more at the forefront of the discussion about a lot of different things. How have you sort of felt as one of the original guys alongside Paul and Chuckster and all the guys? Like, what does this mean to you as sort of one of those guys that's sort of been around and sort of seen the evolution as it's grown over the last few years?
Pretty amazing, man. If you would have told me 2 years ago we'd be sitting in this position right now talking about doing a main stage panel at the National talking about wrestling cards, I would have slapped you in the damn face. It's just, it's amazing. I mean, just like wrestling itself, people like, years ago, you'd be afraid to tell people you are a wrestling fan. And now, there's no problem with that. And you wouldn't tell people you collected wrestling cards. Now there's no problem with that. And, wrestling is being taken seriously. It's a fun hobby. It's also could be a profitable hobby. And it's just, it's fun to see that the hobby as a whole is being taken seriously. And it's just exciting. I can't believe that last year we pulled off what we pulled off. And it was so small compared to what's happening now. It's like what you guys have done since last year's stuff is just take this whole dinner idea, like having dinner, maybe,
right.
Get together, have a couple conversation, people, because that was the best part of last year. And I think it is with any convention, it's the connections you make with people. And that was so fun. And now it's going to be like 100 times that, it's just
right.
unbelievable to me that this is where we're at. So it's very special to me. It's I sit back and my wife will go like, wow, I can't believe you guys are doing this. I mean, Ryan sent me a very wonderful text a week or so ago. It's like that, I'm not going to read it or say what it was, but it meant a lot to me. Just want you to know that. And it's I shared with my wife and she got a little teary-eyed by it. So you touched her, man. And
but Ryan does. He touches people.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to go there. It's that kind of show. But
I've never been convicted.
That's right. It's just special. It really is to see where it's come. And this year's going to be even better. I think, I know we got a lot more people that we're looking forward to seeing that we've only known through social media or through emails or through, eBay, transactions. And now we're going to all meet in person. It's going to be very special.
Yeah, it was great to see, like, because we've looked at the sign up list because now we're approaching capacity, even, which is crazy to even think about. But like I've looked at the list and it's like it's a people I haven't been sort of seeing around. It's people I don't know mixed with all the people I do know. Like it just shows like how far of a reach wrestling cards have really gotten. Now, Ryan, you've been going to these national shows for many years. Like as a collector who has sort of started in sports and then sort of broadened your horizons a little bit to wrestling, like what's been your sort of take on how this has all sort of come together? Like as you've been experiencing all of these things, like given your context of previously being involved on the sports side of this, what do you see this now with wrestling sort of at the forefront of your experience of this coming show here?
Well, I think that the acceleration of wrestling has been absolutely incredible. You know, all these other sports have had decades upon decades to grow and flourish and get a fan base. And I'm not saying the fan base wasn't there for wrestling, but it definitely wasn't out in the open like it was with the other sports. And
Right.
now it is. And we've had, I've been collecting. If you've sent an email to the main event requesting a spot, you're talking to me. And the request has been incredible. We got people saying, "I'm bringing my dad, I'm bringing my girlfriend, I'm bringing 3 friends," and we are filling up so fast. And all I can think about is, Card Collector 2, Ryan, who's one of the big social media guys in this industry. He talked about his first trade night and how it was like 30 people, and how he thought that was great, 30 people. And now, obviously, I'm not, well, I kind of am. On the first year, we've more than tripled 30 people. So just think about that. We've had so many people request to come, and it's just going to be fantastic. And it's really at the point where I think this year you're going to see a lot of wrestling in people's showcases. We've got a couple of dealers who are going to really be focusing on it. You're going to see some really nice stuff, and it's not going to be relegated to the dollar bins or the $2 bins anymore. You're going to see some real showcase pieces up front in people's showcases. You're going to see superfractors. You're going to see high-end Panini WWE logos. You're going to see all that stuff. And you're going to see great vintage. You're going to see great all-stars. You're going to see some of the Japanese releases. It's all going to be there. And it's about time. This is going to be the year. If you're going to the national, this is the year as a wrestling collector where you're really going to see this thing explode. And there's no slowing this train, because wrestling is just getting more and more popular by the day.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it's such an interesting sort of growth over the last couple of years, but it's really been a trajectory over a longer period than that. I mean, like I remember that when I was first exposed to wrestling cards, like I didn't even know they existed, and that was 2017. And like I'm expecting, like even well before that, like we go back to this 1998 WCW set. I know, sore subject given what's going on social media today.
Oh, I think it's fun. I think it's fun. Can't
Yeah.
wait to. We're doing a whole show on that because that's my wheelhouse.
All right, I'm glad. Like I think that, like going back to like 1998 when we were really seeing sort of like the mainstream sort of like tops getting involved in WCW. We had Comic Images sort of kick off in WWF. Like all of those things have really sort of evolved over the last 30 years almost, and it's crazy to see that it's taken this long for their, because they have, wrestling is such a huge base of people, right? It's international. Like we're going from US and Canada, North America, all the way to East Asia. Like there's a huge contingent of people. So I'm kind of shocked like it's taken this long given the trajectory of the hobby.
You have to remember, Adam, that for the longest time, there was, even though there was people collecting the product, there was no community, save for Tony's efforts and a few forums and Rob and Dave on the blowout forums, basically talking about the vintage stuff. No attention given to new releases as it came along. It took a confluence of factors, the main one being COVID, where we all sheltered inside.
Right, exactly.
In touch with each other. But, a bunch of contributions from key people inside our community and outside of our community. People like Gary Vee said a few things, and a bunch of certain things happened. And of course, Panini came in like a fucking bulldozer, right?
Right.
And then with yourself and what we do and everyone else chatting on a daily basis, we've really built up the community. The card set that we did, that was no problem.
Huge, yeah.
50 guys, and we're going to be making an announcement with regards to that. Tony and I are going to talk a little more, but at the national, there's going to be more on that front.
Can't wait.
So it was all these things coming together. To my point that until the timing was right for all these things to sort of converge and build the community, we needed this. And it wasn't one particular thing, but it was just, like I say, a confluence of events. Tony getting on a video with Porto for the first day, a bunch of things that all happened around the same time that got a lot of us connected in a way. And then it allowed us, I say quite often that, the wrestling card hobby is the sum of its parts. We have guys that specialize in certain things. These parts came together in a big way to move the whole wall forward. So it was just waiting for the right time for this thing to happen. It could have happened sooner, but I don't know necessarily. And if I was to say that COVID really was the thing that got all of our asses in gear to sort of let's do this, let's do that.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great explanation of it, and I think you're spot on in a lot of those different things. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to bring so many of these different areas of the hobby together to plan this thing. So, like, I want everybody to understand, like, when we looked at what we were trying to accomplish for this show, it was not, hey, let's make this a Panini event. Let's not make this a this type of event. We literally took somebody from every corner of the hobby to sort of have an opportunity to share an event for the community, a gathering place for the community, an event for the community where we could all come together. Because, like you said on a couple of these videos, like you and Chuckster and Tony met for the first time at last year's convention. Like, it's crazy to believe that you guys who have been working together for so many years just met for the first time. Yeah,
decade
for the first.
Yeah, about over 20 years.
When did the book come out? 2010?
Yours came out in 2010.
Right.
Website launched in its WTC version in 2002 and Complect in 97, 98.
And we were doing business before then, you and I.
Yep.
And then, of course, you did the back cover on the book. And again,
Yep.
with hardly any conversations, like we weren't friends like we are now. We just were associated with each other because I knew he was a guy in California that knew wrestling cards. And that was about the extent of it. And he knew me, a guy up in Canada. And, you know,
hell, there was a time, I think there was a time that we even discussed you taking over WTC, purchasing it.
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, like, we're looking at this show as the opportunity for the entire wrestling card community to come together and be a part of this, you know, historic event. And it's not a one-time thing. Like, I think that's the other thing I wanted to make sure everybody understood is, like, we're not aiming to be one and done here. I think the goal here is to make sure that the community has a place at this show from this point forward, regardless of where that may be. Yeah.
Lay a foundation for the future.
I know, Ryan, you had a couple of thoughts on some of the importance of something like that. Like, what would you say coming into this show, leading into future shows? Like, what's your impression of kind of like the potential here? I know you mentioned sort of CC2 started, but just overall in terms of a community aspect, like, what's your take on that?
Oh, I think it could be huge. I think it could be absolutely huge. And, you know, these things this is definitely a grassroots kind of campaign going on here where we have people who are in the wrestling community. They know about it. They're going to be in Chicago at that time, and they're going to come hang out with us at the main event. And then you're going to get people at the show who learn about it, and they come hang out with us at the main event. And maybe we make some wrestling collectors. Maybe this is an opportunity for us to you know, you don't have something to do on a Friday night and you want to come hang out with us. Why not? Come hang out. We're cool guys for the most part. So come hang out with us. I think that this is something, like, I'm already ready to register Cleveland main event 2024 at gmail.com. Like, I'm ready to do that because I feel like we're going to keep this train going and it's not going to slow down. And the stuff we have planned is going to be awesome. And it's going to be something that people talk about for a long time. And it's going to be something that if people miss it, they're going to say, oh, I can't believe I missed it. And so I'm telling you, if you are in the area, email me, get on the list. You're going to want to be there. You're going to want to be there. And it is for wrestling collectors. And it, you know, the thing
Buy wrestling collectors.
Well, yeah, buy wrestling collectors. And, you know, you go to these are trade nights they have at the show. And I'm not poo-pooing them, but those are all the sports. So you're talking basketball, football, baseball, a lot of high-end stuff. Maybe hard to find wrestling there. Maybe it may be hard, and you know, but
maybe hard to get in there.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that they turn people away pretty quick. I mean, people line up for these things hours in advance, and they're at capacity as soon as the doors open. So come to the event, have a great time. And I think you will. And I think what we have planned for it, we're going to keep this thing going every year because, you know, if you know my history with the National, this is my 21st show. I missed 2015 and 2020. I missed 2020. Other than that, I've been to the National every year. So I plan on being there next year as well. And I think we're going to grow. I think we're going to grow and we're going to bring more people in, and it's going to be just a really great event. And I'm telling you, a lot of hard work has gone into it from a lot of different angles, and we're trying to make it the best event we can. I think we've succeeded.
Yeah. So I want to go to Tony here for a second because he's got something cooking for us that I want to announce here as well. We announced it on social media earlier this week, but you've been sort of the point person on this from before. So we all sort of came together. We thought we got to do something awesome. We got to do something that just sets this apart. And so I want to cover that. But before we get to that piece, Ryan, you mentioned people missing it. We're going to try to make this available so that people can watch. I think there's international aspects of the community. There's people who just, for personal reasons, can't make it. We're going to try and figure out a way that people can view what's going on, both from the main stage aspect of it and from the party aspect of it. So if they're not at the show and they just can't make it for whatever reason, we'll hopefully make some of that available on WTC as it was last year or some other way. Stay tuned for more information on that. But I want to kick it over to Tony. So, Tony, why don't you announce sort of a little bit of the fun stuff we have planned and what we announced earlier on social media, because I think this is really one of those things that's going to set it apart.
Well, where do you want me to start?
Right.
I mean, seriously, we have, I guess you want me to announce the card set?
Yeah.
So we're going to be introducing a wonderful 6-card set. Going to be very limited. Those who attend the main event are going to receive a pack of 5 cards of the 6 cards. That 6 card, how do we get that 6 card then if they're only getting 5 cards? Anybody here know? Anyone? No?
I know.
Nobody?
So
Do you?
Yep. You want me to take it? Or you want to?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it with that.
All right. So the 6th card, which I believe is Ric Flair. Is it Ric Flair?
I think it's Ric Flair.
Okay.
Yeah. Alphabetical order, so he just happened to be the last one. So we're not shitting on
Wait,
Paul on purpose.
have we announced the actual checklist yet?
I did in the email. If you're signed up, you did get an email from me with the checklist in it. And when Tony said it's limited, we have 100 sets. So we are right at that number for reservations, and we have 100. And when they're gone, they're gone. So be there at 8.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's just to attend the main event, but
Yeah,
out on
attend
the
the main
floor
event.
on that Thursday and Friday. And
Yes.
for those of us who are there on Saturday as well, if you're looking around, so there'll be card number 6. All you need to do is approach one of us, one of the 6 people, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And just say, "Where's my card, man? Where's card number 6?" Or
Yep.
whatever. Just come over. I would encourage you to actually, by the way, you get that card, you take a selfie with that person, like that, post it on social media, tag it. It'd be great. It's going to be a fun card set, and randomly in those, it gets even better though. It gets even better with that. So randomly in those giveaways, because these are all given away. Okay, we're giving it away to the first 100 people that come to the main event.
And the event is free too. The event is free.
The event is free too. Exactly.
This is
Everything here is
strictly
free.
strictly for the community, by the community. We've designed this to be a 0 cost event. So if you're in the area, you can attend and not have to worry about anything that would cost you any money.
So keeping it in true trading card fashion, there'll be randomly inserted gold number to 10 versions of these cards. And I believe there's only how many sets? 10 sets, right? So just 10 total sets. Obviously, number 10. Do your math, Tony. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The collectability aspect is going to be there. Hopefully some trading going on. Some people aren't set collectors. Some want their favorite SuperShow, whatever. It's going to be fun. I like that we're giving away cards.
And,
yes.
And so I want to make an announcement too, that what we talked about doing, I'm going to go ahead and talk about next year's set and what we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely.
The idea was next year's set was the 6 of us, which are the 4 of us, Kevin Kulikowski. I hope
From New York Roadshow. Yeah, from New York Roadshow. Yeah.
Yeah. Did I say that right? I hope I did.
You
Kevin
did.
K.
You did.
So Kevin K from New York Roadshow and Shane Norton, Sports Card Nobody. We chose the 6 subjects, and what we want to do next year is we want to nominate 6 people in the wrestling card community to choose cards 7 through 12. And so we will go ahead and have a show in the future where we nominate one person each, and that person can choose a card for the set. And as a part of that, if you're nominated, everybody who chooses a card for a set gets a special black 101 of the person they selected. They're not in packs. You get that for nominating your person. Okay. So I want to make that clear. So if you're chosen for next year and I might be willing to raffle off my nomination for next year at the main event this year.
Mm.
We're gonna get
I'm
that
going to
this year.
throw that out there. So
No.
I may be willing, as part of the raffle program we have, to raffle my nomination for next year. So if you
Wow.
win that prize, you are automatically chosen by me. I will nominate you to pick the wrestler for the set. They'll be in the base set, they'll be in the gold set, and you yourself will get a black 1-of-1 for your collection. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm doing that.
All right,
I'm
that's
a
a big.
for next year.
That's
Did
big.
we do one of ones for this set?
We
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
We
Okay,
did.
so we have
Sure did.
blacks are out there still. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So-
the six of us all chose. You can probably guess who most of these are. But I'm going to say, like, this has been a labor of love for so many different reasons. But I think being inspired by what Paul was able and Tony were able to accomplish with the collector set, that's kind of where we came up with an idea for this. And I think it's so important to sort of speculate how this is going to evolve, because maybe next year we go a little bit deeper. Maybe we do some of the features of what we saw in the collector set. There's so many opportunities here to make this a yearly thing and make it big. And I think once you actually see the cards in person and you see kind of what we were able to put together, I really hope it sort of validates how much work we've all put into it, but also the work that you guys would have in coming to the event and being a part of it, and really lending your support and retweeting and favoriting and everything that we do on social media to publicize it, because we've designed this specifically for people to have a good time, but also walk away with something that they can remember it by. We're also doing some t-shirts. Those are going to be even in shorter supply just because of the cost of doing those. Mm-hmm. So like there's a lot going on here. And I think we'll talk about a little bit more of that on the main stage, I would assume, in a lot of different ways that we can. But I think the main sort of community aspect of this is there needs to be more cards out there for wrestling that are created by the people that love them and cherish them. And I think Paul did such a great job sort of with collecting people who represent the community. This is really sort of the next evolution of like some of the people that those individuals collect. And I think it gives an opportunity for people to really sort of get their fingerprints on a trading card of their favorite person. Obviously, there are some challenges that go into how do we, fund this? How do we do this? How do we, sort of get these things out in the open? We've taken care of all of that. Tony has sort of taken that on in terms of a printing aspect. We're going to choose the subjects. We're going to design the cards. It's already done. All of that's taken care of. So for the first time, like this is something that is a commemorative set, but it's also part of a historic moment in the wrestling card community. So any feedback, any other things you want to add to that, Paul, Tony, Ryan?
No, we're less than 2 weeks away now. So,
2 weeks,
clear your schedule, try and figure out your way to Chicago, because it's going to be a blast. It's going to be the largest gathering of wrestling card collectors ever under one roof. You're going to make new friends. You're going to make new acquaintance, people to do business with. It's just going to be so much fun. And Tony wants to get a picture of all of us in one shot. That's going to be
I love that. Would be so cool. Yeah,
I know there's going to be videos. There's going to be all sorts of stuff going on. It's just going to be.
I really want that. It's from the Comic-Con aspect of doing all the cons over the years, where you get someone up on stage and you got that crowd of people behind you. And I just want to take a selfie like that of all these wrestling card collectors, of just all of us having a great time. I mean, we said it last year too. It was the largest gathering of having wrestling card collectors together. But it was, it really was. And now here we are. It's like a year later. It means something very special to me. It really does.
Yeah, it should.
Exciting.
I can't even describe it.
Really. Like the four of us get to hang out and go for drinks and go for meals, and it's going to be fun putting the whole thing together and meeting everyone and just having a good time. Like we really.
I mean,
we do what we do for the community, really, because none of us get paid for any of this. We're all collectors. We love the hobby. We enjoy hanging out with each other. So,
that's how the websites, started back in the day. I mean, you and I, were doing this stuff where it was just, it's like you said, it's a labor of love. It's a passion for the hobby, and you're putting something out there that takes an exorbitant amount of your time. Because you know how it is. It was, especially like, I know me, like, I've got 80 plus emails sitting in my in basket marked as unread, because I know there are checklists that need to get put up or correction to be put up, just because I know me. Like I get started and nothing else matters to me. I just got to go. And that's how these sites started between Paul and I. It's just a
And it
labor
didn't
of
used
love
to
of
be like
putting
this.
something
I mean,
together.
like, just think about how busy we are with this stuff now.
Yeah, I know.
Just the abundance of releases on the indie side, on the Panini side. Not going to say Upper Deck.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you know, like it was a lot easier 5 years ago. Well, you weren't even in it 5 years ago. Go back 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big job. It was very easy to put together the Wrestling Card Price Guide website in 2014, but it's quite something in 2024. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
know?
I mean, it's just Porto and I just doing the updates every day or every week on WTC back in it was easy to manage. I mean, we're scouring the internet trying to get images of things that we didn't have and finding new information through whatever means, message
Oh.
boards and whatnot. And so that was easy to manage.
That's
But
the record
now,
we have today. Had you guys not have done that, had we have not spent the time and energy and all the time that you, me, Chuck, sort of back and forth and emails and
Yeah.
news sets and get me the image, and I start something and you dig in further. It's never just here, trust me on this. It's always a
Nope.
challenging back and forth to get it right. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we've done the shows, we've kept our sites current and accurate, and people come to them and they appreciate them. So it's all fun. Now what we're doing here with Adam and Ryan is just a natural evolution of things, and it's great to hear Ryan talking about 2024 because I'm sure it's going to be even that much more bigger. But what we've done, a great little team here, a nucleus of guys that really have passion for this, and we hope that you guys sort of bite into the passion with
and I
it.
think people need to understand that. I think that's a real key thing to take away from all this is that that's what this is all about. It's just whatever walks of life, whatever your lane may be, we're all just very passionate about the hobby and what it is that we collect and how we collect. And it's never in spite of anything or anyone. It's all just about sharing the knowledge, getting it out there, and showing people what a great world that wrestling trading cards can be.
And look at the
how fun it is.
response.
And
Look at the response.
the numbers don't lie. So
Yeah.
and that's across the board, anything in any way you want to slice it. The numbers don't lie.
I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten where somebody says to me, finally.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's
Finally.
a good feeling.
And it's great. It's great to see that the response is there, because we easily could have put this out and nobody's like, fuck that, we're not going to go to that shit. Like,
Yep.
But it's not the way it's been. And I think that the exciting piece of this is that the community is just as bought in as we are. And I think, yes, we've put a ton of time into videos and posts on sites and checklists and pricing and everything that we do. We're on social media all the time. But we do that because we recognize that there's a community behind it that likes that content and goes to that content. I know all of us have been lightning rods at some point in the last couple of years. And like, it's great to see that none of that has gotten in the way of people rallying around this event and being a part of something like this, where we can all feel proud to be wrestling collectors. We can all feel proud that wrestling is finally being showcased at the show over these last 2 years the way that it has. And I think that's a great thing. Like that's what we all do it for, right? That's why we do what we do. But it's also because we like being around like-minded individuals who are going to be a part of this and being able to have that experience that you can call back to, all those pictures that you can share. And I know Tony does on his site. I know Paul does on his site. So like, those are the types of experiences that we're hoping to curate for a lot of people here at the event. Oh, by the way, there's going to be one of the biggest releases of the year going down at the show. So we did get word. It looks like that Select is going to be released on that Friday. Now, whether or not it is prevalent on the show floor is yet to be seen, but it will be a part of this event in some way. And I think that is even bigger reason to sort of come and be a part of this, not just our event, but the whole show in general, because this Select last year was probably one of, if not the most important releases that Panini put out. It's going to be released on the 28th if the release of First Off the Line tomorrow is any indication. So curious what your guys' thoughts of having something like that at the show, being a part of this as one of those sweeteners.
I still have a fear of the word mezzanine.
Right,
I go into a building at work and in the mezzanine, I'm like, oh, do I have to? Yeah, Select was the set last year. It was, and it was a bear to put together, mezzanines and all. But I think the community adopted that as the winner, if I recall, of all the releases. I think we were generally in agreement that was the special one.
So much fun, yeah.
Yeah, so if they even get a portion of the same energy off of this one, that's going to be great. And if the timing coincides that it works out with everything for us, that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the community really did rally around that set last year, specifically because of what you just explained, which is like the size of the set, the incredible offerings that it has. It was still very much appealing to all of the people like me who love the shiny stuff, all the people before who love collecting the sets and putting together all the great photography. All of that seems to be coming back. If anybody saw that Rhea Ripley card they posted as a result of it's just incredible. And I think that having that opportunity on the show floor to be able to experience that as it's released around a bunch of wrestling collectors is something that we've never been able to experience before. This wasn't available at the show last year, if I remember correctly. But man, to be able to do some breaks in a room with a bunch of people around you is just going to be awesome. Like, I don't think I've ever experienced that as a wrestling fan. I'm maybe a guy at the shop while I'm tearing through packs is standing over my shoulder and be like, oh yeah, I like Becky Lynch too, or whatever. But this is like, hey, everybody's bringing their stuff. We're all going to have a good time. And we're going to be there probably pretty late because this is what we live for. This is the product. And I think it's awesome that it's being released around this time.
That's a nice bonus.
I wish,
bonus.
I wish Upper Deck would take note.
Yeah. Well,
I think
I was thinking the four of us rent a tank, sort of DX style, and we sort of
we
head over to the Upper Deck booth. You know,
yes,
like we're going to break down the barrier, find out what the fuck is going on.
I don't know what they're doing. They could have had Skybox Metal come out next week, and it would have been.
Yeah, but you know what?
They're doing something for Comic-Con.
Maybe they surprise us. Maybe they're waiting for the show. You know, let's see, because maybe there's a surprise for us. If they're going to do anything, here's I know. Here's where
I imagine Adam at Comic-Con it's probably gonna be something Marvel related anyway. So
it is. It's a Funko product, I think, from what I saw, which is 5 years in development in its own right too. So like, if that's any indication,
they're moving very slow.
Yeah. So I think
just moves very fast. They've slowed right down.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because I think like this would be an opportunity to get it in front of a ton of people, as Ryan was saying. Like metal with the precious metal gems, especially, is just a huge deal. I'm not an AEW fan, but even that aspect of the set is something that intrigues me. I'm not a precious metal gems fan, but I know the impact that those cards have had on the hobby over the last, 2 years, especially. Marvel precious metal gems have gone just insane prices. And what Upper Deck has built in that brand has been huge. But to see that it's not, that even Allure or this set is not available for the show, I think is a huge miss. But
well,
that's
Ryan,
just
know about that because they must have been made. They wouldn't have announced the metal set without them being produced.
No, they haven't done anything.
They didn't even make them. You don't think? So it's not. It's not like a process problem.
It takes multiple months to make these products. You have to put a checklist together. You got to go into, that's why you see stuff like CM Punk in sets after he's been dismissed from the company because
when was the announcement? The announcement was like what, October, November, something like that. It was a long time ago.
I know. We're going on a year. I don't know what the problem is, but there hasn't been any word from Upper Deck at all about it. And I'm telling you, people are chomping at the bit for those precious metal gems. Like Allure is fine. It's a chrome set, it'll appeal to chrome people, and it's got some fun inserts if you follow, the Marvel sets and the hockey sets. But people are really waiting on this Skybox Metal set, and it's like let's go. Like, just forgo doing in-person packs and just take it straight to EPAC and be done with it. That's the problem with AEW. I mean, we're halfway through 2023, and we've got 2021 base AEW, 2022 base AEW, and Spectrum, right? We've only got 3 sets.
Correct.
So they've churned out 3 sets, and 2 of them being base sets in 2.5 years.
And the time needed on what, 9?
Let's go. Let's go.
I don't know the reasons, man. I know that these sets take a long time to prepare. When I used to talk to my buddy Colin over at Tops in mid 2000s, these things take time. I'd get emails going back and forth from Colin that he would, share like graphics of things that were going to be going on for the card sets. And it was like, 8, 9, 10, 12 months later down the road before that set ever saw the light of day. But they had things scheduled out where they had their timelines. It's all just a flow chart, basically, of we're getting this done by then, so we're starting it in this time, and it's going to be out by that time. So it's weird to me why Upper Deck has these delays, and I don't understand why. I'm
curious how much the Fanatics consolidation has impacted this. So I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there's only 2 or 3 people in the world that can produce trading cards at scale,
Correct.
right? There's not many. And like, and we're talking about at scale, not for sets like we produce. And
I
I
think in
think like
Texas, right? I think they're on Texas, I believe.
there's 2 of them, and one
Yeah,
of them is
yeah.
owned by a guy who's like, I'm never selling this. I'm taking it to my grave, like all of this other stuff. And the reason for that is because trading cards have to go through a very specific process of printing and cutting and all these other things,
Yeah.
adding in autographs and jerseys and all that other stuff. So like Fanatics has consolidated a lot of the hobby, whether it's breaking, the actual licenses, all the way to the auction houses involved with PWCC, like all of that stuff has been consolidated. And I think that there was even rumors at one point that they had gained an exclusive printing license with one of these guys. And I think like again, it's unverified. I don't know the truth behind that. But I'm curious if that has some impact, because I would say in the hierarchy of the way companies are ranked, like it's Panini and then Topps and then Upper Deck. And I think very quickly, Topps is going to be up here and Panini and Upper Deck are going to be way down here. And I think like that could be an impact of like maybe some of these, maybe Upper Deck really has to prioritize which sets are going to make them the most money, given the licensing, given the scale and stuff like that. And they've prioritized San Diego Comic-Con Funko Pop Marvel sets over whatever this is. And it's like, that's unfortunate, because I think even though I'm not a fan, even though I don't collect them, I can see the demand is out there, and it's really unfortunate that those collectors don't have that to go off of.
That's quite plausible. And if you consider the converse, that Panini knows they're going to lose the license, so they're going to crank out product like crazy. So it's
Exactly.
going to seem to us like there's a preponderance of Panini and not enough Upper Deck. But that still doesn't explain why we haven't seen a set in as long as we've seen.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
to your point, I mean, I don't know. It's like I say, it's very possible that could be like a macro sort of boardroom decision that, look, we've got to go after the stuff that puts the most money in our pockets. Whereas Panini's thing is we got to make as much of this shit as we can whilst we got the license.
Yeah.
Whatever the boardroom decisions are. But it's a very noticeable discrepancy in the hobby now between the 2 manufacturers. And Upper Deck came in with such fanfare, and the hobby was behind them 100%. We were rallying behind, and it just sort of fizzled, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, three sets in 2.5 years is not going to get it done.
No.
What have you done for me lately?
That's what it is. It's all out of sight, out of mind. And as great as that 21 Upper Deck, AEW base set was, product that people love so much, it's gone now. It's people, that's out of mind. Right. Spectrum was a flop, absolute flop. And at the price point, that stuff should be like $50 a pack. I mean, when you see MJF patch autographs out of that stuff selling for like $450, and I get it, not everybody does it for resale, but resale is a big part of determining whether you're going to buy a product sometimes. Would you rather buy 3 packs of that stuff or just buy the MJF card?
Yeah, of course.
That plays into it.
That can be said for any release, really.
Yeah. I think it's different though for an entire community built around player collecting and set collecting. Like, I think that's a huge piece of it, is like, if I only want the MJF card, because he seems to be the gem of a lot of this stuff. Like, if that's the card I want, do I really feel confident buying a case of Spectrum at whatever it was? There's a couple of $1,000. Like, I don't know if that's there, especially if the MJF cards aren't delivering the value, because AEW isn't as hot as it was, however many months ago. Even though like the collecting base really hasn't given up. Like, there's, like Ryan said, they're not seeing it as much, and the cards in wrestling just don't come up for sale as much. Like, I think we've talked about this on a number of shows, is like, people buy and they keep. So like, they don't really sort of like these cards don't move frequently enough to keep the set at the forefront of people's minds. It's a really problematic situation to be in.
And there's other cards in the hobby. There's indie cards. So there's a ton of Panini coming out. There's Leaf putting out sets. So the collector has choice.
Yeah.
They can spend their money elsewhere, and that affects it as well, right?
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking a lot about this.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things we're offering as part of the experience this coming week is, we'll have a lot of these discussions on the main stage. We're going to have some discussions during the event as well. I think, like, come with your questions, come with your discussion points. We want to engage with the community. I think, just to sort of tie this up in a nice little bow here for us, Like the more that I think we can come to this experience over the week and show that we are in this for the long run, the better it will be for everybody. I think the National Convention Committee is looking at the main stage. They're looking at all these different aspects on how they're advising to go forward. We want to put on a big show. We want to be there. We want to be a major part of this. And I think this is our opportunity to show them what we've got.
Yep.
Well, before we break, I just want to highlight two dealers that have been really great to the wrestling community. They're going to be at the National. First one is RBI Crew 7. They are at booth 152, 154, and Sports Card Junction out of Pittsburgh. Chad Weldon, he's at 252 and 254. So they're going to be kind of like catty corner next to each other on the end of the row. They've both told me they're going to have a ton of wrestling. And these are legit collectors on top of being dealers as well. So they're going to have some stuff.
Huge.
So 152, 154, 252, 254. Get a map of the layout, and you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, we'll be hanging out there probably a lot too. I know Ryan Bannister, who is RBI Crew, and Chad are very big friends of the show, and I think like what they've been able to do in terms of lending support behind the scenes for us as we've built a lot of this out. Can't thank them enough. Thank you so much for calling them out. I actually had that on my list to do, and I mean, you beat me to it, so I'm glad we were able to discuss that. Yes. So just to wrap this up, again, Hyatt Regency, July 28th, 8 p.m. Come be a part of it. Have a good time. Really, this is designed to be a free event, a fun event, an informational event, and something that you don't want to miss. Make sure you're on the main stage with us, 5 to 6 p.m. on Thursday. WTC, Paul, and Tony will be hosting that with a number of us. And I think, like, again, this is the biggest week of wrestling cards that's ever been in terms of this capacity. So please be a part of it. Have a good time with us. Engage with us. Come find us on the floor for card number 6. All of those things are just major aspects of what this show is going to be all about. Tony, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, and then we'll go around and wrap this up here.
I'll tell you. You left it here, buddy.
I forgot it.
Yeah, over at WrestlingTradingCards.com, you can find all of our social media platforms on the bottom of every single page. That's pretty much all you need to know.
And
Awesome.
Tony,
Thanks,
which card did you pick for the set?
I picked, of course, Kurt Angle.
And visit his store in Phoenix too. He hasn't had a chance.
Yeah, we had a great signing on Saturday. That was a lot of work. I did not expect. Again, wrestling fans love all aspects of wrestling, really. And so we had an independent girl, Jasmine Allure, come in. Not a knock to her at all, like that. I wasn't expecting such a turnout, but Ryan was there because he's always my bouncer. It was absolutely crazy in here having her in the store.
It was
like
awesome.
That.
It was awesome. Great vibe. I mean, it was so much fun. It was really fun.
Second best day for the store in terms of sales since we've opened.
Congratulations.
That's awesome. Congrats.
She was fantastic, and we got more coming down. I got just last night picked up 2 more names are going to be coming in between now and the end of the year. So our next guest is going to be that I've already announced will be Sabu's coming in in September, and then we'll have Kurt Angle in November, of course.
Amazing. Kurt and Sabu. I mean, like those are like top tier sort of names. Great gets. I know you represent Kurt, so about time he shot you an event here.
Yeah. So it's gonna be fun, but the store's coming along. It's a slow grind, slow process, but my wife and I are very up to the challenge. And when you get good motivators, like I got Ryan and Paul chomping at my ears all the time, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this. You're right. So
the store's great. The store's awesome. I mean, it really is.
Growing.
I mean, Paul, you haven't seen it for a couple months now. It's filled out nicely. It looks really great.
Awesome. I might come down again soon. Remember, it gets cold here in the winter.
Yeah, the card aspect of it's growing too. I've got Nick from Crazy Card Collectors been in here twice a week, every week. It's become kind of like my right-hand man here at the store. I take him with me to some of the local indie events. We went on Saturday night to a local indie event, and he's been very helpful in taking these tens of thousands of singles that I have and tens of thousands of more that I end up picking up and merging them all, making sets. And then Nick and I have been kind of plotting and planning. We've got a whole database in the process of you guys want online, you guys want stuff, it's coming. Awesome. It's coming.
All right, Paul, where can they find you?
Paul from WrestlingTradingCards.com and Wrestling Card Price Guide. Card, what's my handle? Card_guide.
Jesus Christ, man.
Oh
How
my
long have we been doing these
Like, you
videos?
guys know, like you guys know who I am.
And Paul,
Did you just throw the "Do you know who I am" card?
Yeah. No, you guys, we say this every time. Paul, where can they find you? WrestlingCards.com. Worldwide. Card Foundation.
Awesome. And Ryan?
Instagram, non-sport showcase. And I chose who else? But Macho Man Randy Savage for the set.
Yeah.
So, and
Well, it's
Paul
gonna be fun.
Paul, who'd you go with?
Who'd I pick? Woo! Who I
Ric
pick?
Flair,
Number
nature
6.
boy.
But I like the special card that you made, the maybe 4 horsemen card.
No, that's an inside joke that people won't get, but those 101s are going to be awesome. I like, so again, Ryan sort of highlighted that whoever gets nominated for next year will get to have the special thing. We actually put alternate images on it, and Paul really went all out with going 4 horsemen, so that was great to see. But you'll have to find us on the floor to get card number 6, Ric Flair. We didn't shit on Paul on purpose. It's just alphabetically he's the 6th card. So it's not like we're punishing Paul for anything. I'm Adam Gelman. You can find me at WWE Gelman on Instagram or at STN Censored on Twitter. Of course, I chose Becky Lynch for my card. And I think once you guys see these in person, I hope you'll be as excited for them as we are. But hopefully we see you. Sign up. Email Ryan here, Chicago Main Event 2023 @gmail.com. Follow us on social media. We'll be talking a lot more. There's still stuff to announce. We haven't quite given you all the little stuff yet. Going to have a lot of fun. But again, Hyatt Regency, July 28th, 8 p.m., right across the street from the convention center. It's going to be a great time. I hope to see a lot of you there. Thanks again for staying with us as long as you have, and we'll see you at the National.